Go Twitch is we're back again, boy Z Loud, and today we're back again. We're still talking about the war. Yep, we're still talking about the war. Now, I am gonna stress this so much. This war is not gonna end anytime soon. I know Trump is saying 2 to 4 weeks, but this nigga's been saying that 6 months ago. I don't know what's going on. But today we're tuned in what would happen after a nuke hit any part of the world. There's any part in the world. Don't matter where you are. It can happen to you. And you usually get obliterated. Whatever the fuck them niggas be saying. But listen. I'm going to show y'all this video and then we're going to tune into another video where this nuclear physicist is actually speaking in depth about what would actually happen. Let's get into it, man. I hope I got no ads in my shit.
But the worst part comes after
Hold on. Did I? No way.
Would forever split human history into anything that happened before
and
the post-war apocalypse. In the worst case,
brightness,
mass fires consume everything within
I gotta start
tens
looking
of
at camera. I don't
thousands
know why I
of
keep looking to the side.
killing hundreds of millions within hours. But the worst part comes after that.
Oh,
nuclear
wait.
war could trigger a nuclear winter.
Y'all niggas know, bro. I know that shit echoing, and I know. I need my headphones, bro. Okay, before I just tune in real quick. Get that shit in the ear. Ugh. You gone.
That might kill billions, maybe even completely collapsing our civilization.
All right, don't make fun of my earphones. I got this on the airplane, nigga. I can't find my AirPods, nigga. Don't come at me, nigga. Fuck. He's always talking shit.
How does it work? And what would it look like? Fire causes winter. When a nuclear weapon is detonated, a bubble of gas hotter than the sun is forced into existence, so hot that everything within kilometers immediately begins to burn.
Oh!
The terror bubble expands rapidly, filling the sky over its target, creating a devastating shockwave
Nigga, we all
that causes
out
most
in
of the
one go,
immediate
bro.
destruction. Basically, you break a lot of stuff and set it on fire. And in the worst case, this turns into a firestorm that consumes everything and everyone on the ground.
This is crazy.
Right after the explosion, a gigantic mushroom cloud rises over the destruction like a demon throning over its perverse work. But in the following hours, a far more deadly cloud forms. The fire burning cities, forests, or fields heats up so much air that it creates its own microclimate and wind system. Hot air and hot smoke rise, pulling in fresh air from the surroundings and fresh oxygen, stoking the flames even more. This creates an updraft and forms a colossal pyrocumulonimbus cloud that carries the soot and aerosols from the flames high into the stratosphere.
Oh my god.
Under normal conditions, the soot rising from a big fire is quickly washed out by rain. But a pyrocumulonimbus cloud can reach altitudes well above the height where rain clouds...
Nimbus. That sounds like a fucking weed strain, nigga. Pyrocumulonimbus. Yo, I hit that pyrocumulonimbus. That shit had me off my head. Like, I sound like a strain, bruh.
Form. Once above the
that shit dangerous.
tropicals, there's simply no weather to remove soot from the atmosphere, so it can stay aloft for years. If this happens to a single city, it's a tragedy, but a fairly local one. But in a full-scale nuclear war, warring nations following the cold logic of mutually assured destruction could use hundreds or even thousands of nuclear weapons all at once, creating hundreds of firestorms, sending up to one...
Bro, that's when you know Armageddon is happening. Bro, I'm going to Australia or something. Hopefully Australia hasn't been blowing up. But if this shit had happened, bro, I'm on a boat to Australia as quickly as possible, bro. Because you know that if this shit actually were to go down in America, the lights would be off. We won't have electricity. Niggas would be starving in and out, crazy. It'd just be mass fucking chaos, bro. I just know it would be chaos. I would need my Glock with me at all times. You know, I got the glasses on. Let's, you know, so I got it's Smart Zach today. It's Smart Z-Loud today. You know what I'm saying? But that shit would be mad.
150 million tons of soot, a cube the size of a skyscraper, directly into the stratosphere.
Oh.
In the next few days and weeks, the soot begins to blanket the Earth at high altitudes.
Oh, so it's
absorbing
affecting everybody, low
light
key.
high above the
You're not
ground
safe anywhere
and
you go.
preventing sunlight from reaching the surface. This is not like science fiction where the sky turns dark and the sun disappears. Winter is what happens when just a little less sunlight hits the ground, and now suddenly a lot less sunlight gets through. Yesterday, the world was normal. Today, nuclear winter begins.
Bro, just in 24
Winter
hours.
causes hunger. How bad
See?
nuclear winter would be is still an
I ain't
active
never even
area
seen
of
this video.
research. It all hinges on one thing: how much stuff will burn really hot? How many firestorms will be caused by the heat of the explosions? This depends on many factors, from the materials a city is made of to the time of the year, if a forest is nearby, and so on. So just keep in mind we're working with some assumptions. Here's the good news. Nuclear winter is not permanent, and definitely no new ice age. The effects on the climate only last as long as the soot remains in the atmosphere, which is at most a decade or so until
Nigga,
it clears
10
out
years,
and
nigga.
temperatures normalize. The bad news is that this causes almost immediate climate change within a few weeks. It disrupts our climate system faster than any living being can adapt to. In this new climate, our seasons are suddenly all wrong. Winters are much longer, summers shorter and
Oh,
colder,
bruh.
or gone
I
altogether.
hate winter too, bro.
This also means less evaporation over the oceans, which means less rain and maybe large-scale droughts. This is bad because our food eats the sun. Without good summers and enough rain, growing seasons shrink or even collapse. The majority of humanity lives in an area called the mid-latitudes, a strip of land that has the ideal temperature for our species, not just because it's not too hot or cold, it's also where the plants we eat grow best. The vast majority of the
Yeah, I get this gist. Now let's tune in with this lady and let's see what she's talking about. We're only gonna watch about 10 minutes because she explains everything in more detail than this video is. And I kind of like her talking. She talk nice, low-key. So, you know, we gonna tune in.
Or actually not the most fun conversation talking about nuclear weapons, but I think you put it really beautifully that we are living at a time of so much progress and just so much opportunity and hope for humanity and a better future. And at the same time, here we are on this gorgeous, beautiful planet with, you know, wars erupting, with countries,
Why can't we all just be
in
friends?
conflict, overtly, covertly, tensions all over the place. It's really not a good time. And on top of all of this is really this technology that in some sense we've been building for now 80 years. And technology that throughout that time has quite literally threatened to destroy the planet. I don't mean that the planet itself would disappear. The planet would still be there. Whether or not it would be livable is a really big question mark. And certainly, I think that a nuclear war on this planet would actually most certainly destroy human civilization. Whether all humans are wiped out is a question. Whether all life is wiped out is a question. But human civilization is going to be gone. And so what is that picture? That picture starts with an understanding that currently in the world, we have 12,500 nuclear warheads in possession of 9 different countries, including the United States. United States and Russia have the most nuclear weapons. Actually, Russia has a little bit more than the United States. They're both at about 5,500 nuclear warheads each. So the rest of the states that have them, the other 7, much smaller number in the mostly low hundreds, with China up to about 500 today. Each of these nuclear warheads is, most of them are far more powerful than the bombs that were used on attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So in July of 1945, the United States had 3 nuclear warheads. It used one of them in what's called a test, the Trinity test in the deserts of New Mexico. actually had devastating consequences for a local population. We'll set that aside for the moment.
What?
And then it used to in attacks on Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and in those attacks, on the order of 200,000 people died between the two cities.
Which, just to put in context, that is a time when there's only 3 nuclear warheads
that exist in possession of one country.
And that resulted in fundamentally changing the polarity of the world. It affected the global power structure and resulted in the casualties of 200,000
Absolutely.
people.
And the humanitarian catastrophe that unfolded in both Hiroshima and Nagasaki is just really unimaginable. I mean, these were human beings that were vaporized, right? So in the right by the epicenter, both of these bombs were airbursts, so they were exploded about 500 meters above the ground. So they form a fireball, and then that energy dissipated. When we talk about this fireball,
that's crazy, bro.
The fireball is basically has the temperature of the sun. It's like creating a miniature sun on Earth. And so people were quite literally, buildings, quite literally vaporized. So just turn kind of like your water on the stove disappears, right?
This is gone, bro.
And then obviously as you moved farther and farther from the epicenter, then you would have people with third-degree burns. You would have destruction from just the blast, the destruction from the energy that goes into the blast. And then on top of all of this, you also have radiation. And again, this is just one single bomb. Hiroshima bomb was the equivalent of 15 kilotons of TNT. So that's 15,000 tons of a chemical explosive. So that's how we sort of understand how powerful these bombs are. My telling you how much uranium or plutonium is in a nuclear bomb wouldn't give you that sense of the just how powerful they are. But again, today we have nuclear weapons in these arsenals that are dozens, if not hundreds of times more powerful than those early bombs. And there's a total of 12,500 of them. And we know that if something like a nuclear war were to occur, and let's even just for a moment take India and Pakistan,
sorry.
both of which have about 150 nuclear warheads, and estimated on average to be 100 kilotons. So that's about 7 Hiroshima bombs equivalent. If those two countries were to use their entire arsenals in a nuclear war, it's estimated that 130 million people would die just from the attacks. We also know from Hiroshima and Nagasaki that basically the day of, or just in the immediate aftermath of the bombings, a certain number of people died, and then within months, that the number of casualties basically doubled from the impacts of radiation. So if you have this 130 million, the day of, that's like people who are vaporized or blown apart, etc. And then you would have casualties from radiation as well. But that's not where the impact of nuclear war ends.
God.
In fact, last year when there was it was just 3 or 4 days, a conflict between India and Pakistan. And I think there were some comments on the internet, why do we need to worry about, let them do whatever they want? Well, it turns out that if they go to a nuclear war, that's going to impact the entire planet. How is it going to impact the entire planet?
Bro, if you're a leader, right, and you hop on your little whatever command station and you decide to press the nuke shit, use a bitch. Use an automatic bitch. Let them niggas fight it out if you're actually in a war, nigga. I know we in a new age of just pressing buttons and shit. Nigga, I could press buttons. It's so easy. A kid could press buttons, nigga. Like, you evil, first of all, and you a bitch. Both in one, nigga. You're not even a good villain, nigga. You're just a shitty villain. You worse than Hitler. You worse than fucking Groot. And Despicable Me. What's his name? That one villain in Despicable Me. Like, nigga that wanted to, what's that nigga's name that he wanted to steal the sun? Or the moon. He's a bitch, bro. I don't care, bro. If anybody, honestly, if anybody in the world who would think about nuking the place, it would be Donald Trump. Not gonna lie. Or that Kim Jong-un. But Kim Jong-un probably wouldn't even do that shit. He wouldn't do that shit. I don't know. I fear Trump. I think we all fear Trump. But this is not even a video about Trump. It's a video on how a nuke would affect all of us. Because it would affect all of us, nigga. I bet you didn't know that. It would affect all of us in a bad way. Take a couple of days for us niggas to die. But it's okay though. Just enjoy your life, you know, live your life. Don't do nothing crazy. Blow up. Tell them leaders, keep their mind straight, bro. Imagine we had a depressed leader with nuke power, bro. A depressed president with nuclear power. I don't think anybody should have nuclear power, bro. Like, because if it's devastating to the whole world, why the fuck would you want that? Why the fuck should any nigga have that? I don't understand that. I know it's for show and tell, nigga. Niggas who got the biggest dicks, who got the biggest nukes, nigga. Like, it's so stupid though at the same time.
Major effects. One is nuclear winter. That is the fact that if these bombs are used in attacks on cities, and there are widespread fires as a result of the explosions, those fires would produce so much soot that would go into the atmosphere and then block incoming sunlight, reduce temperatures on the planet.
I gotta stop cursing
to such a degree that food would begin to food growing would begin to fail, agriculture would begin to fail, and within 2 years it's estimated that actually more than 2 billion people would die from starvation around the planet. That's just India-Pakistan nuclear war,
not even including the chain of proxy alliances that these nations have. They call it in these scenarios limited regional nuclear war, right?
So India and Pakistan do their thing, nobody else gets involved. And of course, we actually don't even think that's what would happen. But just to illustrate how serious this is.
This is just India and Pakistan.
Another level where the US and Russia would essentially use 1/3 of their current arsenals each. And that would end up with 360 million immediate deaths. Followed by over 5 billion people dying of starvation. That's really the end. And these are estimates. It could be much worse.
Could be much worse.
Maybe it could even be better. But this is at the level of a collapse of human civilization. There's something else nuclear weapons can do that doesn't even require you to explode the bombs on cities and kill women and children and so on. It's called electromagnetic pulse. It's when you explode a nuclear warhead high above the atmosphere, about 100 miles up into away from surface.
I've heard of this. It turns off electricity.
Explode the nuclear warhead, and it basically sends out this radiation that then interacts with particles in the atmosphere and creates something called the electromagnetic pulse, which ends up shutting down electricity in entire regions.
Yeah.
It's estimated, and we've known this since the 50s. Like, we've known this for a long time.
Bro, why are we still
Estimated that
building
you
them
need
shits?
just 3 such weapons to shut down electricity over the entire United States. And that's not a blackout. That's not like, oh, we lost electricity and it's coming back in 3 days or 5 days or 7 days. It's not coming back. That's electricity that is not coming back.
Chat, what if you use a
don't even
generator,
have to
bro?
kill us all. We'll just kill each other, right?
Mhm.
Like, can
It's
you
anarchy.
imagine?
Right.
Can you imagine?
Bro, I'm sorry, bro, but there's places in Africa where they have electricity and they're all fine. I'm not saying this is gonna happen in America. If this ever were to occur in America where all lights are shut off, we would go into anarchy because we just would. But in some places in Africa, at least I'm from Ghana. I used to live in Ghana. And lights would go off and niggas would be fine, bro. We just light a few candles. Some niggas would turn on their generators and shit. But all I'm saying is, in America, if there was a blackout of just lights for a couple days, niggas would be going crazy, bro. It would be like world chaos, state chaos, state to state to state to state, bro. Like, we cannot live without electricity. Banks use electricity for different stuff. Your phone charges and shit. Imagine niggas couldn't use their phones, bro. Oh my God.
Imagine this society without electricity. Where's the food going to come from?
Logistics, supply chains, global banking.
Everything collapses, right? Where's your money?
Yeah.
Right? If there's no electricity, you don't have any money. I mean, it's almost too much to even try to figure out. But that's the kind of thing that nuclear
Imagine just one thing. Electricity, just one thing. Imagine we lost the internet too. Like, just one thing could just create chaos and anarchy, bro. Losing electricity. I remember Obama made that one movie. Forgot what it's called. But it was a blackout and everything. Teslas were crashing into other Teslas. All that type of stuff was going on in that movie. And it made me think, why the fuck did they let Obama fucking direct a movie like that? He's not even a director, bruh. Why is he the director of the movie? Are they thinking about doing this shit or something? Is this a plan that they're sending us? Are the global elites sending us some signals? Because to me, it feels like a signal to me, bruh. Fucking hell.
Can do and why they're so dangerous and why they really represent this, as you so eloquently put it at the beginning, this existential threat that's looming over all of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's been doing that for 80 years.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm in exercise and kind of like prepping for speaking with you, I'd put myself in the shoes of trying to like really feel what it would be like to be in a city where a nuclear bomb went off, 10 miles away. I was, 20 miles away from the blast zone. And it's really horrifying. Like, I even found like a little bit of a write-up that kind of can paint that picture like really vividly. And I implore the audience just to imagine whatever city you're in, whatever place you're in, just imagine you see this light and it's beyond it's not the sun. It's like beyond brightness. It's nothing you've ever comprehended before. If you're in the blast zone, you're immediately eviscerated. You don't even know that it happened by the time you're dead. And as a quote, I think maybe you mentioned last time we spoke that the living would envy the dead.
Yes.
Is sort of how people, I think, around Hiroshima described
you would want to die?
That quote it specifically comes from Nikita Khrushchev, who was a Soviet leader and who negotiated with President Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and they also negotiated the Limited Test Ban Treaty and so on. But it's that recognition that this is not something we want to even think about. I actually admire you. I'd love to hear the description that you offered to read. I admire you for thinking in this way. I think about nuclear weapons all the time, and I just kind of refuse to think about what would happen. You know,
Right.
they're novels, they're films, there
Sure.
are other things, and for me, it's I somehow have this feeling that what I really want to spend my kind of intellectual and emotional energy on is what can I do to prevent this from ever happening?
Of course.
You know,
I think you're maybe more aware than the average person.
We gotta end the video there. Because I'm getting pissed. The niggas have that type of power over me, bro. Only person that should have a power over me is God. And you're telling me that you could obliterate me, nigga? I can't even say the word, nigga. Niggas from other country, bro, Trump saying all this, like, yo, if they had nukes in Iran, they could send it over and it would be, you know, it'd be crazy. It'd be all that they talked about in the video. But do they know that it would affect them too? If they were to do that, they might send a little tiny one. But I don't even know why Hiroshima and Nagasaki was even a thing. Like, why was that even a thing? I'm so baffled at this. Thank you all for tuning in, man. Fuck this, man. I'm always leaving these videos pissed. Like,